We are the Imperial Guard. It is time we started acting like it.
So really, to spoil the surprise, Warhammer doesn't really have Christmas or New Year's, but it does have two holidays that we could compare as equivalents. Sanguinala, or as described by the fandom as the 41st Millennium's Christmas, although arguably it is probably closer to Easter, is the most revered religious holiday in the Imperium, or one of them. Officially known as the Red Feast, or the Festival of the Blessed Sacrifice, it commemorates the martyrdom of Sanguinius, the great angel, who fell while defending the Emperor during the Siege of Terra. The inspirations of the name itself, I think, are from the Roman feast of Saturnalia, or the Winter Solstice Festival. Within the Imperial Creed, Sanguinius is viewed as the Emperor's son, whose death was a necessary prerequisite for the Emperor's own ascension to divinity. This creates the narrative of sacrificial redemption that resonates with all of the Imperium citizenry, providing a model for self-denial required to every subject of the Golden Throne. On Terra, Sanguinala is a spectacle of scale. This is directly from the Vaults of Terra books. Billions of red-robed pilgrims converge on the Sanctum Imperialis, overflowing the feeder stations and cramming like cattle into the transit hubs. The experience is dominated by the tolling of the blood chimes, massive bells whose sound is echoed throughout the Imperium via astropathic resonance. The ritual climax involves the use of lumen banks the size of battleships to fire a column of red light into the sky above the Eternity Gate. Participants carry regulation blood lanterns, which are released in their billions at the end of the festival, rising into the air as a symbol of the souls of the faithful ascending towards the Emperor's light. This use of fire and light is explicitly described as a celebration of dominance over the dark, a ritual to push the shadows back. From the Avenging Sun book, Sanguinala was supposed to be a sombre remembrance of sacrifice. Its celebration on Otherworld's take on the characteristics of a riotous outdoor festival. In some hive cities, the last day of Sanguinala is marked by the parade of papier-mâché carnival figures representing the Primarch, while pyrotechnic novelties and the discharge of defence cannons provide a violent and boisterous backdrop. However, the grim-dark nature of the setting is never far from the surface. On many worlds, the focus on blood and sacrifice leads to the adoption of brutal self-flagellation rituals, where citizens demonstrate their devotion through physical suffering. For the Blood Angels themselves, on their homeworld of Baal, the holiday is a time of deep mourning and the renewal of oaths, as they recount the angels' legendary stand and struggle against the genetic curse, the black rage and the red thirst that stains their lineage. The real Christmas comparison is technically Candlemas. So while Sanguinala provides the sort of messianic story, Candlemas serves the communal role of marking the end of the imperial year, or the new year, I guess, same thing we would have. It's the winter solstice festival that focuses on the themes of renewal, the commemoration of the dead, and the lighting of tapers to welcome the new Imperium year. You don't really see a whole lot of this. You see some of it in the old lore, but explicitly in the Eisenhorn books, Candlemas is depicted as a moment of relative peace. In the midst of all the dangerous missions, Imperial agents, guards, civilians gather in small Ministorum chapels to light candles and lead devotional prayers under statues of the God Emperor. And the reason I mentioned both Candlemas and Sanguinala is it seems over the years they've sort of been used by GW interchangeably for Christmas. And as all things, the lore is inconsistent, but it is what it is. And this is a little extract I've taken from the web archive, actually, from the old GW community website. And I just thought it was a nice little fun story, so I'm going to read it now. "'Twas the night before Candlemas, and all was quiet on Vortis 5. Regular shelling had permanently altered the atmosphere of the once temperate world, causing an unnatural winter. Assigned to destroy the barbaric orcs, the Nordican 1225th Regiment had lost all hope, the front having turned into a frozen quagmire. Even the orcs seemed to have lost the will to fight, and both sides brooded in their trenches, neither making any ground across various bitter skirmishes. All hope seemed lost, and then Someone in the trenches was singing, very faintly. The guardsman could hear in the vile tongue of the orcs. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Eager not to be outdone, the guardsman piped up with a rousing chorus of the wrath of the Emperor is my sword. As the singing continued, one junior private climbed out of the trench, leaving his rifle behind. On the other side, an orc boy appeared, to be doing the same. Silence fell, and as the two combatants approached one another, the orc reached out his hands, and the private took it. Merry Candlemas, said the private, smiling. He then drew the combat knife he had hidden in his boot to perform a flawless 3-point strike, killing the orc instantly. A cheer went up, inspired. The once downcast men of the Nordican 1225th Regiment affixed bayonets and charged into no man's land, catching the orcs completely by surprise and massacring them right down to the smallest Gretchen. Spontaneous games of foot the ball broke out, with guardsmen improvising using squigs or heads of their enemies. It was a feast of St. Nicolo miracle. Now, when guardsmen feel downcast, they think to the Nordican regiment for inspiration, and are reminded of how their sudden courage was still no excuse for their lack of zeal, as their commanding officers were court-martialed and executed following the completion of the Vortis 5 campaign. Happy Grotmas everyone, happy Christmas and a happy New Year, and as always, thanks for listening.